The first crack of lightning hit right as Naomi Cole's car died in my driveway, and I remember thinking, good. Let the universe handle what I don't have the guts to. That's the kind of thought a man has when he's spent 14 months pretending his office rival isn't the reason he checks his email at midnight. My name is Jonah Pierce. I was 31, a project manager at Ferris Logistics, and I had built my entire professional reputation on being unbothered, calm under pressure, steady in meetings, the guy who didn't flinch when a shipment got lost or a client screamed on a conference call. Naomi Cole made me flinch constantly, and I hated how much I liked it. She was 29, our operations lead, sharp-jawed and sharper-tongued. With black hair, she kept in a low ponytail like she didn't have time for vanity, and a habit of dismantling my proposals in front of the entire team without raising her voice once. She didn't need volume. She had precision. I'd watched her reduce a VP to stammering apologies using nothing but a spreadsheet and eye contact. We'd been rivals since my first week, back when I made the mistake of rerouting one of her shipments without asking, and she walked into my office, closed the door, and said, "Do that again, and I will personally make sure your name is never spoken in this building without the word incident attached to it." I should have been intimidated. Instead, I asked her to lunch. She said no so fast I got whiplash. That set the tone for the next year. Me testing boundaries, her building higher ones, both of us somehow ending up on every major project together because upper management thought our tension made us efficient. That Friday, she called me from the road, voice tight. "Pierce, I need your address. My car just made a sound I don't like, and the storm's about to make it worse." "You're asking me for help?" "I'm asking you for coordinates." Don't confuse that with affection. 20 minutes later, headlights swung into my driveway, and Naomi Cole stepped out into sideways rain, wearing a blazer that was doing absolutely nothing against the weather. I opened my door before she could knock, and she stood there dripping, glaring at me like the storm itself was my fault. "Don't say anything smug," she warned. I wasn't going to. Your face was already smug. It's my resting face. Ask HR, they've filed complaints. She pushed past me into the house, and just like that, my quiet Friday night became something else entirely. I grabbed a towel from the hall closet and held it out. She snatched it without thanking me, which I'd learned was just how Naomi accepted kindness. Grudgingly, like it cost her something to admit she needed it. "Tow trucks backed up," she said, scrolling her phone. "Storm's got half the county stuck. Earliest they can get to me is tomorrow morning." I felt something in my chest do an uncomfortable flip. "So you're stuck here? Don't sound so pleased." "I'm not pleased. I'm terrified. You've never been in my house. You might catalog my flaws and present them at the next all hands." That got the smallest twitch at the corner of her mouth, gone before I could call it a smile. Naomi wrapped the towel around her shoulders and looked around my living room like she was conducting an audit. Bookshelves, a worn couch, a coffee table with actual coffee rings on it, because I wasn't the kind of man who used coasters unless company was coming. Apparently, the universe hadn't given me warning. "This is annoyingly tidy," she said. "I expected chaos. I contain multitudes. You contain a very organized spice rack. I saw it through the kitchen doorway. You've been here 4 minutes, and you're already profiling me. Occupational hazard. I assess risk for a living." She looked at me then, really looked, and something in her expression shifted just slightly. "Guess we're stuck together, Pierce." I should have made a joke. I had 6 ready. Instead I said, "Could be worse," and meant it more than I wanted to. The power flickered twice before giving out completely around 8, plunging the house into the kind of dark that makes a storm sound louder. Naomi swore somewhere near the kitchen, and I found her by phone flashlight, hip against the counter, illuminated in that pale blue glow that made her look softer than she'd ever allowed herself to look at the office. "I have candles," I offered. "Somewhere." I think. I bought them for a dinner party I never hosted. Of course you did. Let me guess. You also have a fondue set you've used twice. Once. It was a dark time. She actually laughed at that, short and surprised, like the sound had escaped before she could stop it. I lit 3 candles and set them on the coffee table, and the living room went gold and shadowed, rain hammering the windows like it had opinions about our evening. We sat on opposite ends of the couch because that felt like the only professional option, except the couch wasn't that big, and every time thunder cracked, Naomi's shoulder ended up a little closer to mine. You're not scared of storms, I said. It wasn't a question. No, I'm scared of being unprepared. Storms are just weather doing what weather does. It's the not knowing what happens next part one hate. That tracks. You color code your project timelines by risk level. You've noticed my spreadsheets. I've memorized your spreadsheets. I could recite your Q3 shipping variants in my sleep. She turned to look at me, candlelight catching the sharp line of her cheekbone. That's either impressive or deeply unwell. Little of both. We ordered food from the one delivery place still running despite the storm. Ate cold pad thai out of the containers because I couldn't locate actual plates in the dark, and somewhere between her stealing a dumpling off my fork without asking and me pretending to be offended, the office version of us started dissolving. Not gone, just quieter. Underneath it, something else was talking now, and it didn't sound like rivalry. Can I ask you something? She said, setting her chopsticks down. Dangerous opener. Why do you keep pushing? At work. You know I'll shut you down. You do it anyway. I considered lying. I was good at lying about this specific thing. I'd had 14 months of practice. But the storm outside and the candlelight inside made honesty feel less like a risk and more like relief. Because you're the only person in that building who doesn't let me get away with being lazy, I said. Everyone else nods along. You make me actually think. I don't know when that started mattering to me more than winning. Naomi went still in the particular way she did right before she said something she meant. I thought you just liked annoying me. That was the cover story. And the real one? I looked at her, at the rain-damp hair drying in loose waves around her face, at the guarded eyes that had never once looked at me like this at the office. Open, uncertain, waiting. The real one is that I've been finding reasons to be in every meeting you're in for over a year, and I told myself it was strategy. Her breath caught, quiet but audible in the candlelit room. Jonah, you don't have to say anything, I said quickly, because backing out felt safer than hearing the wrong answer. I just didn't want to keep pretending in a house with no power and nowhere for either of us to escape to. I'm not going to pretend either, she said. I've spent a year telling myself the reason I fight you so hard is because you're careless. But careless men don't remember variance reports. Careless men don't drive to a hardware store at 9 p.m. because they heard me mention my apartment's smoke detector was chirping. That was one time. It was thoughtful. I hated how thoughtful it was. The thunder rolled again, farther off now, and neither of us reached for a joke to fill the silence after it. Naomi set her container on the coffee table and turned fully toward me, knee brushing mine. I don't do this, she said. Whatever this is. I don't cross lines with coworkers. I've seen what happens when people do. I know. But you're sitting in candlelight looking at me like I'm not a spreadsheet you're trying to win an argument with, and it's making it very hard to remember my own rules. Then don't remember them tonight, I said. Remember them tomorrow. Tonight the power's out, the roads are flooded, and you're stuck with me anyway. Her eyes searched mine, and I watched her decide something. Watched the armor she wore into every meeting, every negotiation, every fight we'd ever had, ease down by degrees. This is a terrible idea, she whispered. Historically, my best ones are. You've had terrible ideas before? I once proposed a shipping route through 3 time zones because I wanted an excuse to have a call with you at 7 a.m. Her mouth fell open. That route cost us $4,000 in inefficiency fees. Worth it. I got 45 minutes of you correcting me. She laughed, and it broke something loose in the room, some final wall neither of us was defending anymore. She reached over and touched the collar of my shirt, the way she might straighten a crooked file, except her fingers lingered, warm against my throat. "You're an idiot," she said softly. "A little bit. I like it more than I should." I lifted my hand slowly, giving her every chance to pull back, and brushed a strand of damp hair off her cheek. She didn't move away. If anything, she leaned into it, eyes fluttering shut for half a second like she'd been waiting to be touched like that for longer than she'd admit. "Naomi," I said, voice low, "can I kiss you? You're asking permission? That's very unlike the man who reroutes shipments without asking." I learned my lesson that time. Her smile was slow and a little dangerous, and entirely unlike anything I'd seen from her at the office. "Yes," she said, "you can kiss me." So I did. Carefully at first, like the storm outside had taught me something about patience, and then not carefully at all when her hand fisted in my shirt and pulled me closer. She kissed like she argued, with total commitment, no half measures, no room to misread her. When we broke apart, her forehead rested against mine, both of us breathing like we'd run somewhere instead of just sitting on a couch. "This changes Monday," she murmured. "Only if we let it be complicated. It's always going to be a little complicated. We work together. Then we'll be complicated on purpose," I said. "Together." She studied me a long moment, candlelight flickering gold across her face, and then she smiled. Really smiled, no armor left in it. "I can work with complicated." The power came back around midnight, lights flaring on so suddenly we both flinched and then laughed at ourselves for flinching. The tow truck arrived at 8 the next morning. Naomi stood in my driveway in yesterday's damp blazer, watching her car get hitched up, and turned to me before she left. "For the record," she said, "I still think your proposals need work." "For the record," I said, "I still think your spreadsheets are terrifying." "Good. Some things shouldn't change." She stepped closer, rose onto her toes, and kissed me quick and certain, like she was signing off on something permanent. "See you Monday, Pierce." "See you Monday, Cole." 6 months later, we still argued in meetings. We still color-coded and cross-examined and pushed each other in ways that used to look like rivalry, and now everyone in the office correctly read as something else entirely. But every Friday night, no matter the weather, Naomi showed up at my door anyway, storm or not. And every time she did, I thought about a dead car battery and a power outage and how the best thing that ever happened to me arrived looking like an inconvenience. What would you have done if your office rival got stranded at your house during a storm and said, "Guess we're stuck together"? Have you ever had a rivalry turn into something you didn't see coming? Tell your story in the comments. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next.